Hi there, it's Stace Constantino here. So I'm just making a quick podcast to share how I go about making notes on some written material that I'm reading, thinking about, and then going to put into practice in my work, both creatively as a musician and also as an academic teacher, to try to pass on some ideas to other people, including my students, of course, about my findings. I've recently bought a paperback copy, although I have access to it online, but I wanted the actual physical copy because I find it easier to manage. The paperback copy of a book called Creativity: The Psychology of Discovery and Invention by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. I started reading it, and right from the outset I realised it's a very densely packed book full of information. Every sentence is just packed full of something. The first chapter is called Setting the Stage, and I sort of quickly realised, I read the first sentence and then I read the last sentence, that it's really kind of selling to you, the reader, why you should read the book and carry on. And I don't need to be sold on this. I'm reading the book anyway. So I haven't really read that first chapter in much detail. I've skipped straight to Where is Creativity, Chapter 2, in an attempt to get to the crux of the bits of information that I'm interested in. Where is creativity? It's already interesting notion, and I'm thinking, okay, I need to find out about what he means. So what I'm doing is I'm with the ballpoint pen, black ballpoint pen. It could be actually coloured ink, which would be fine, but not a highlighter. Highlighter is too wet and would kind of ruin the paper. So the black ballpoint I found is the best way of doing it. Pencil is no good because pencil sort of fades. So pen is the thing to do. So I'm writing in my own book. Books are not sacred. You can write in books. It's fine. I need to quickly add in here that I'm reading my own book, which I purchased with my own money. Please don't draw on other people's books or the library's books or whoever without their express consent. From about page 25, which is about 3 or 4 pages into this chapter, instantly we're getting some massive detail about what his thought process is. So I've underlined bits of text that are key. Now, this underlining of text, this is an idea that I've got called being kind to yourself in the future. I've had this idea for quite a while now, and I've never told anyone about it, I don't think. But you do something now so that in the future your life is made easier. And I call that being kind to yourself now for in the future, or something like that. So I'm underlining bits of text so I can come back and go straight to the bit that I want. And in the back of the book, on the first blank page that I can get my hands on, I'm writing down the page number of my underlined text and a very short summary of what that's about, so that I can just zip through the back, in a year's time maybe, and find all these interesting quotes, so that if someone asks me to do something, if I want to do something, I want to do a lecture, or I want to talk about something, I want to think about something, I can look in the back of this book and I can zip through my notes quite quickly. Now, the other thing I'm having to do with this particular book, because it's so dense, is I've realised I've had to make a note in Word as well. So I've created a Word document and I've called it Creativity, which is the name of the book, making notes on in brackets. Because I know in the future, if I just call everything notes on, I'm going to have hundreds and hundreds of documents, notes on, and I'll never find what I need. So I start with the title of the book, and then the author, which is Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. So I have all that information. The next thing I do is, before I start making notes, I put the Harvard reference in. So I've just got that handy. So I've got all the bits of information now I need to start popping my notes and thoughts into Word. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to carry on going through this chapter, and at the end of the chapter I'm going to try and summarise what the chapter's about with some citations from the book as well, probably citations from the book, and that will be an amazing resource for me for the future. Okay, to summarize then, what you're going to do is to make notes on your reading material for research. You're going to skim through the contents of the book or text, find the bits that are relevant to you. In my case, in this particular case, it's the first chapter, not the introductory chapter. And then you're going to underline important parts of the text using ballpoint pen. And then in a separate Word document, you're going to write down the page number and some relevant citations. And you're going to also add in at this point the Harvard reference, so you've got it. And this whole process I call being kind to yourself in the future. Finally, you're going to save your Word document as something that's memorable to you, and so that you won't lose it, so you can find it, possibly put it in a useful folder somewhere. Thank you for listening.